Hey, you're watching HuffPost Live. I'm Marc Lamont Hill. You know Paul Wesley as the star of the CW's The Vampire Diaries, but the actor is also a first-generation Polish-American who is working with the nonprofit Welcome.us to celebrate June as Immigrant Heritage Month. Paul joins us now to talk about what his immigrant heritage means to him. Welcome, sir.
Hey, how are you? Thanks for having me.
I'm good, man. First things first, as part of the Welcome.us's campaign, you had the opportunity to travel with your sister and your nephew to Poland. You got to see your grandparents, and you also filmed the whole experience. I loved watching it. I want the people to take a look at this. Check this out.
This is it. Hi. Oj, on ma taką ciężką torbę.
But I'm also your grandpa. You are more handsome than I could imagine.
Wow. What a beautiful video. Tell me what it means to you and how you want audiences to interact with it.
What it means to me. I mean, it means a lot to me because I'm extremely close with my grandparents, and you know, they're getting older now, and I think my sister, she has 3 kids, and everyone's so busy, and it was one of these sort of last minute trips that for me was so special because we never knew if they would ever meet my nephew Henry, and for me it was just a glimpse into sort of the life of the generation that sort of put me on this earth, and the people that are responsible for me being here. And I know everybody has that, obviously, and so I guess for me it was just like a snippet. It was like a little glimpse of that, and maybe it'll let people appreciate their own heritage in a way.
No, absolutely. And I guess for me, this whole conversation about immigrant heritage changes the conversation on immigration and on immigrants, because we no longer think of those people or these people as immigrants, but understand that we all are.
Yeah, I mean, America is obviously comprised. It's sort of, it's the newest sort of country in the world in a way, and we're comprised all of immigrants, whether it's 6 generations, whatever it is. I happen to be first generation, but I think that we all, for me, when the campaign approached me, it really was about celebrating where we all come from, and I have a very specific story, and so I thought I would be able to lend my voice.
Well, man, and a great voice it is, man. We got a comment coming in from the HuffPost Live community. A P-Dub fan, Kim, writes in and says, "Hi, Paul. Your Welcome.us PSA is incredibly beautiful. I was wondering if you have any favorite family traditions that stem from your Polish heritage that you incorporate into your life now."
Favorite family traditions. Goodness. Well, I mean, I definitely think one of the things that's important for me is that I maintain Polish as a language that I speak fluently. It's something that I'm very grateful for that I have. So when I do communicate with my parents or my grandparents, I try to converse in Polish as much as possible, just so I can keep that skill and hopefully pass it on to my children one day.
Wow, that's pretty awesome. So you feel pretty connected to your Polish heritage then, if you're still speaking Polish and,
Yeah, but when I was younger, I spent so much of my life. A lot of kids would go away for summer camp, for me, it was not going away to summer camp. It was going to stay with my grandparents in Warsaw, and we would travel. And so a lot of the formative years of my childhood are sort of who I am today is very much based on that experience that I had as a child.
Well, absolutely, man. And I love the fact that you're not only connected to your heritage, but that you actively think and engage it, and that it's something that you want to move forward to future generations. Was there ever a time where you didn't feel like that? Was there ever a time where you felt different or like you wanted to not run from it, but at least, just be like everybody else?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I think in a way, maybe even the reason I became an actor, quote unquote, is because I spent a lot of I was obviously we assimilated very quickly, but I spent a lot of my childhood sort of observing sort of American culture in many ways and trying to sort of fit in, and I think that observation in a way lent itself to me becoming an actor, because I sort of wanted to sort of imitate people in a sense, not in like a negative way, but I definitely think that that there was a time where I questioned where I saw the differences between myself and sort of the typical American family that had been around for many generations.
What do you tell kids right now who are going through that, who are first or second generation, who are feeling different and who are trying to fit in?
Well, first of all, I think it's one of the most wonderful gifts that you can ever get. A lot of times when you're a young kid, you sort of just want to be 100% like everyone else always, because it's the easier route. But when you become an adult, it enriches your life so much, and you're so grateful for your roots. So I think that kids need to really recognize that it's an incredibly positive thing.
Absolutely. Comments coming in from the HuffPost Live community. Ashlyn writes in, she says, "Hey, Paul, I wanted to let you know that I loved your PSA. It was very touching. My question is, what was it like for you emotionally to witness your grandfather meet Henry for the first time? And how was it, and what was it like to capture such a moment on film?"
The whole thing happened a little spontaneously. Basically, we had basically the month of June to shoot this PSA, and they came to me and said, "Well, what do you want to do? What's your idea?" And I had I've been thinking about all these different ideas. What can I do? And I was going to create this fictitious tale. And because I'm, as a director, my first instinct is create something fictitious. And it just so happened that I was going to Warsaw to visit my grandparents. And we just came up with this idea. I said, you know what, let's just film him meeting my grandpa and my grandma meeting their great grandson for the first time. I thought there's nothing better than that. I can't replicate anything in a dramatic fashion that will be as potent as that. And it was great because my grandfather looked at me a little bit like his own son in a way, and to sort of see that from an adult perspective, to see him looking at my nephew that way was nostalgic for me in many ways.
I can imagine, man. And you talk about being a director, you talk about being an actor. Some of your projects have immigration themes in them, and themes about difference. Sam and Amira is a new project that I think is pretty neat, man. Tell us about it.
Yeah, Sam and Amira, it's a great little film that I did last summer in New York City, and it premiered at the Seattle International Film Festival. Got some great reviews. The director, his name is Sean Mullen. He wrote this story about he's a war. Sean was in the Army, and he's a war veteran, and so he wrote this story about this kid who comes home from the war right after post 9/11 and falls in love with an Iraqi immigrant girl who is there illegally and is about to get deported, and it's sort of their love triangle. Not love triangle, sorry. I'm thinking of Vampire Diaries. It's like a straight up love story. It's a love story between these two people that are the polar opposite in terms of culturally. In New York City post 9/11. It's just really, really heartwarming, a beautiful story.
No, it really is, man. And I love the connection between art and life and how they sometimes overlap. That's pretty neat. Do you often take projects that have social themes or significance to you, or at least when you're looking at a script, do you try to find a way to work that stuff in?
I'm not going to lie to you, not particularly. I think as an actor, I'm not a political activist in any way. I mean, I certainly have my opinions, but I look at character and story, and I look at whether something. I look at the director and the writing. I mean, I sort of am open to any form of storytelling. But it just so happened that I got this great an offer to do this great character in this sort of social commentary-esque type film.
Yeah, no, that's pretty neat, man. Another thing that I wanted to talk to you about was Vampire Diaries.
What's that?
It's this thing I heard about. My buddy Ian is on it. Do you know him?
I don't know. I've never heard of that.
Yeah, you're not missing much. Nobody really watches it, but there's a chance it may get better. Ian Somerhalder was here, and I was talking to him, and he was telling me lots of stuff about it. But he said that his character might be coming back. His character could be dead for good. I mean, his character's dead, but they're vampires.
Right. Season 5 of the Vampire Diaries proved, forget that, all 5 seasons of the Vampire Diaries proved that really you can die, and there's a 80% chance that you will be resurrected.
What would you say Ian's chances are?
Well, considering the fact that he's a series regular and a staple of the show, I would say he's got a good likelihood.
I like his chances, man. Speaking of Ian, he posted on Instagram the other day, he wrote, apparently there's a new cast member joining Vampire Diaries, Luis Suarez.
That would be fantastic. Listen, I welcome him. Maybe he can come in for one of the episodes that I'm directing.
Yes. I mean,
I would love that.
Look, he already knows how to bite, so he's halfway there.
Right.
Have you been watching the World Cup?
I have. I saw that incident. Indeed, I have. I don't know. I've been watching the World Cup. Listen, I'm not a football. I'm going to say football. I'm not going to say soccer. I'm not a football fanatic. But when the World Cup comes on, I absolutely put that football fanatic jacket on and wear it proudly. And I wake up early and. By early, I meant 9 a.m. the other day for West Coast time, which for me, when I'm on hiatus, is like
that's like 6 a.m. for actors.
It's a travesty.
That's fun, though, man. Hey, look, I'm not a football expert either. I just like to watch and yell and act like I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I like to watch, and I like to be in the environment and get into it, and look, let's be honest, and drink beer.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that.
Question coming in from the HuffPost Live community, man. Everybody wants to ask you questions. Amanda writes in, she says, will Elena make it without Damon? Is there a brewing romance between Caroline and Stefan?
Will she make it? What does make it mean? I think she'll make it. She'll be fine. I think the end of Vampire Diaries, when this is my own personal thing. I think the season finale of Vampire Diaries, whenever that may be, is that Damon and Stefan compel Elena to forget everything that ever happened. She goes back to being a human, and they walk off into the sunset, take off their rings, and burn.
Wow.
And then your other question, is
there brewing romance between Steph and Caroline?
I think there's a brewing romance between Stefan and any character. I think Stefan should become a ladies' man.
Hey, not a bad idea. Autumn writes in and has a question for you. She says, hi, Paul. My question is Steven going to have a harder time at the beginning of season 6 because of what happened to Damon or Stephanie? Or will he try to move on and help Elena as well?
I think she meant Stefan, right?
Yeah, Stefan, that's what she meant, yeah.
Okay. Sorry, can we go back? I was too focused on the misspelling of Stefan that I actually missed the question.
Yeah, so was I, because I read it and I was like, is there a character I don't know about? Okay, sorry, Autumn, that's my bad. Is Stefan going to have a harder time at the beginning of season 6 because of what happened to Damon? Or will he try to move on and help Elena as well?
That's a very good question. I actually sat down with Julie Plec, the head showrunner, and I sort of was asking her what she thinks her interpretation of how Stefan is going to react to Damon's disappearance. And I don't want to honestly tease it too much because I think they came up with a really cool take on that, and I'd rather the audiences experience it firsthand. So I'm going to go ahead and plead the Fifth Amendment on this one.
I agree, man. I think you should be very quiet on this as you work the script. And when you direct episodes, you should bring some extra people on. Maybe, I'm thinking like a black internet host.
I think that we can make something happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's a natural progression of the script.
I can't see it going any other way.
That's all I'm saying. All right. There's a HuffPost Live community out there. They're always watching, and they want to have a chance to ask our guests a question. So they're here now. We're joined by your fan, Antonella Massimi. She's in Belgium. Antonella, what's your question for Paul?
Hi, Paul. I prepared a few questions for you. I would like to ask you, what are your hopes for season 6? Can we expect some badass moves from Stefan or badass action?
Badass moves from Stefan. I love it when Stefan takes charge and he's a bit of an alpha male, and I like it when Stefan is assertive and look, he's a vampire, and I like it when Stefan explores his dark side. There's nothing wrong with him being the hero of the story in many ways, but my personal request always, in general, when it comes to Stefan, is for him to explore his dark side. So if I had it my way, And unfortunately, I'm not one of the writers